It is now 5 o'clock. It's time to call this meeting to order. And we're going to start with a moment of silence followed by the pledge. And before that, I would like to ask you to stand, Mr. Curran. Owen. We have here today Mr. Owen Curran from Troop 210. He lives in Anger. And he is the grandson of Jim Curran. Thank you. So we're going to do the moment of silence and
then he'll lead us in the
then
pledge.
we'll do that. I just wanted you to get your recognition.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yay, thank you. Okay, we're now open for public comment and prayer.
Public comment periods will be held at the beginning of the scheduled meeting and limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each person desiring to speak shall clearly state their name and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. A speaker may not speak more than once during the same public comment period, and unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals who expect to have the same or similar comments are encouraged to select a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. The board should refrain from engaging in dialogue except to the extent necessary to clarify the speaker's position. The board shall not entertain questions from the audience, and discussions between speakers and members of the audience shall be prohibited. Speakers shall maintain proper decorum and shall make their comments in a civil manner. Personal attacks and use of obscene and profane language are prohibited. Speaker comments should be limited to subjects that are within the board's jurisdiction. Action on items brought up during the public comment period will be at the discretion of the board.
All right, we're open.
Merry Christmas.
All right, thank you. So, Claire, meeting minutes.
All right, so everybody has a copy of the minutes in front of them. This is the same that was emailed to you. If you have not had a chance to review them, you can do so now. Otherwise, a motion to approve will be in order when you're satisfied.
I move to approve the minutes from Canvas.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This is the second sign. So we have a couple things to discuss today. Most of it's going to be information, but then we do have a few things to discuss concerning 2024 as well. The first thing is I just wanted to update the board on some of our outreach events we have coming up. So since Andrea has started, her and Seth have worked together to kind of contact some places and brainstorm some ideas. And some of the things that we're gonna be able to do in January are the senior centers. We already have a date set with the Coke Senior Center on January 29th, and we have talked to the Dunn Senior Center. We have not determined a date yet with them. I know originally they wanted a March date, but we're gonna try to get them before the primary. We've got there, given some educational information regarding the primaries, absentee ballots, and then also having our photo ID machine out there as well. One big event that we're planning is a Get Your Vote On Expo. That will be February 8th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 here in this room. And we're going to kind of do a lot of things. We're going to have some different stations set up in the room where we're going to have voter registration, we're going to discuss the voter ID laws, we'll have absentee provisional ballot requests and information, election worker roles as well as recruiting election workers, election security. We will have our voting machine here, some demo ballots, as well as our photo ID machine, creating photo IDs. And what we're trying to get up together now with the county is not just some handouts, but also maybe doing a gift basket. So one of the ideas they came up with is having like a questionnaire. So everybody that comes will receive this questionnaire. They can get those answers by visiting the different booths. And then they can submit that before they leave and enter, to be entered for a drawing to receive a gift bag.
So is that an all-day thing, or?
No, it'll be from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., so just a couple hours. And so we did it in the evening so that hopefully more people can come out to that. We're still working to get some flyers set up and advertising for the event. I just wanted you guys to be aware of it beforehand, that we are planning to do this. Especially during the primary, we can get a lot of this new information out, get some poll workers, and just educate the public. Some future events that they've already discussed doing, again, nursing homes, the MAT team, which we'll discuss in a minute, you know, going to the high schools, getting some student pre-registrations, students that don't have IDs can get IDs, also student election workers, getting up with Chamber of Commerce and other like Kiwanis, Lions, Rotary clubs, and just trying to get our outreach out there as much as we can. Due to time, we may not be able to get to all of these things before the primary, but definitely once the primary is over, we'll have the whole summer and everything to get more outreach done before the general election. So Andrea and Seth have both kind of hit the ground running, trying to increase some of our outreach. And I know that was one of our big goals with the board, and then trying to get that good position to be able to increase that. So I just wanted to update you on that, and then once we get the flyer for the expo, you all get a copy of that as well. And then we'll send it to the parties to let them help us kind of advertise that as well.
Excuse me, question. The nursing home that you said you already had scheduled, what was the name?
So what we have for the outreach is the Coates Senior Center, the Coates Senior Center,
Okay.
and then the Dunn Senior Center. But we have already reached out to nursing homes and informed them of the MAT team. And we're going to try to get the MAT team scheduled to go out there. And so again, today what we'll do is go over the MAT team and the MAT team appointments for 2024. So that is something that I will add on to the agenda for today.
Okay, and then the second question I have, I know that talked about outreach, we've talked about that before, and I'm a strong proponent of having the board involved. So when we have things scheduled, I'd like to be notified so I can
Yes.
be there, or anyone else, I would hope. a lot
Yes.
of people.
Anything that we do, we will inform all of you because we do want the board to be present if it's possible for them to be present.
Yeah.
Because it's
Okay.
just good to have that outreach with the public and they can see the board.
No
and
doubt.
To know them as well.
We want to demystify.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
When they go into the schools, I'll be glad to go with them to the high schools, you know, with some connections there.
Yes.
So,
And I did tell Andrea and Seth that we may have to reach out to you to get some of the, especially the civics teachers. I know some of the schools have a set designated civic teacher that kind of oversees that department. But yes, we'll definitely reach out. Any other questions?
It's like a lot going on.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we're gonna try, get out there as much as we can. All right, so the next thing I just wanted to let you guys be aware of is I will be attending the county commissioner meeting on December 12th. That is simply, again, HR, finance, they're presenting again to the commissioners about having the temp agency do all the payroll for the election workers. So I'm simply there in case they have any election-related questions. Like we've discussed before, that does not change the appointment process. It doesn't change, the scheduling. It doesn't change anything on our side of the recruitment or paying. We simply will be sending the payroll invoice to the temp agency as opposed to sending it to HR or finance. So it doesn't affect anything on our side of it. But again, I'll be at that meeting just so if they have any elections related questions, I'll be there to help Janice with any of those.
And it's HR or the payroll or accounting or whoever that's wanting to do this?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a lot of work on the county HR to onboard everybody, and then finance have to payroll, and then W-9s, and it streamlines it to have the temp agency just handle that. So what we would simply do is just send the invoice to them, and they would take care of everything else.
So this meeting is an ask or finalized?
It's to ask. The last time we had the meeting, I can't remember the date, I told you guys about it, the commissioners, they tabled it. So I think they're just taking it off the table to reconsider it.
That's just limited to that area, because I know we have a couple of other things dealing with the board, or the commission, and also the county manager.
Yes.
Those things are part of it.
That's not a part of this.
Okay.
No, this is just simply for that, HR wanting to award the contract to the temp agency.
Yeah, okay.
So the next thing is just filing. I wanted to update you guys that filing began yesterday at noon. We did have 5 people file yesterday. I know we had one person this morning, and then I had to come over here, so I don't know if we've had any more today. But we do update our filing list on our website every single day. The state board also updates the filing list on their website every day, so you can always log in to see who has filed for office. But like I said, so we have a total of 6 that I'm aware of as of right now, but they still have a good week and a half to file. So everybody's at the office training on how to process that, so that, again, I can be over here at the meetings and know that filing is still going on at the office. So that's going well as well. Any questions about the filing? All right. The next item was just to give you guys the 2024 election calendar. And as you see, there's a lot going on in 2024. So I've pretty much tried to keep this schedule more in line with dates that you guys need to be present. There are some things on there, such as the sample hand-eye count after the election, that we recommend the board come to. But any other events, especially like the outreach events, those will be sent to you guys individually as well, so that you can be present to those. I just want you to go ahead and get on your calendar your board meeting dates, your absentee meeting dates, so that way you can all be aware very well much in advance, especially when it comes to the canvas, because like we mentioned before, it is required for all board members to be present at canvas. This way you can go ahead and get that on your calendar as much in advance as possible.
Isn't there the state meeting that we're supposed to go to?
I thought we had something on February 6th.
We do. It's the 4th, 5th, and the 6th is the last day. So what we may have.
It's on a weekend?
Huh?
It's on the weekend?
We check in that Sunday, and then the conference is that Monday and Tuesday. So it's the
So the 6th,
February 5th and 6th is the actual conference dates.
and we're scheduled to have our meeting on the 6th?
We are. What I'm assuming the state's going to do is that's going to be a short day for their
Okay.
conference. And they were aware of the absentee when they scheduled their conference, so we'll see what they do, if they change it.
What if they don't?
If they don't, what we could do, if they don't, usually we're out by 12, and so we could get back and meet if we needed to. If we did not have any absentees or, well, actually, that's a regular meeting, so wouldn't necessarily recommend that we move it, but we could move it if we had to.
Like to the next day or something,
Mm-hmm.
like to Wednesday.
Yeah, or we could move the regular meeting to the next week and just delay it a week.
Okay.
I really don't like being in Charlotte and then having to get back here
Yeah.
by 5 o'clock,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
because I might lollygag.
Well, you just never know.
No,
Like,
you don't.
You know,
Mhm. And we'll cross that when we get, maybe through January, to see if the state board updates something
Okay.
with their conference. I do have the election worker training dates already established, but the times are to be determined. Right now, we're still looking at, staffing and how we're gonna do those trainings. Typically, we have 3 in a day. We have a 9 o'clock morning one, a 1 o'clock afternoon, and then a 6 o'clock evening. Once we get those times established, I will send those out to you as well. But I just want you to be aware of the dates that those trainings will be held. So we've already got that planned out for pretty much the whole year. And if you notice that May 14th is highlighted as Election Day, as of right now, is a possible second primary date. So the statute has changed that, if it did not include a federal, it was X amount of weeks after the election. If it had a federal election, it was longer. So there was 2 potential second primary dates, but the statutes have updated to make it one set date. So if there's a second primary, it will be May 14th. Pending no changes with the actual primary date. But again, we'll cross those as we can. And legislation and lawsuits will determine what happens. So, as of right now, March 5th is the primary day, and we'll work with it how we can,
Now,
one day at a time.
you said a primary for runoff, but you need 30% in the state elections
Mhm.
to win the primary, 30% plus 1, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have to
Then
look
you're
at
not
that.
likely to have a runoff. It's 30%.
Well, a second primary, it's not a runoff.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I have to look at the actual numbers on it again. And then, of course, as this calendar updates, I'll send you updates on that as well. Any questions on that?
Quick, did you say your question was 30% plus 1 in the primary?
I thought it was 30%. Betsy, is that right?
I can
It used to
look
be
it up.
40 and then they changed it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
know they made it wider or smaller, but I don't remember the exact numbers without looking at the
Because
statute.
I always thought 30 was just way too low, but nobody asked me
Yeah.
for either party.
And if you want, I can look that up and get
Okay.
back to the board.
I always brought my phone today.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everybody when I'll get back to the office. I can send that out tomorrow. Any other questions? Alright, we're just gonna move right along then. So again, since we've already been reaching out to the nursing homes and trying to get dates established, we have already gone through and tried to, reach out to several people to volunteer for our MAT, team, which is our multi-partisan assistance team. These are the people that go out to nursing homes. And you'll see I have before you a copy of that. We have 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. So anytime we send out a MAT team, it's always a bipartisan team, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat. They stay with each other the whole time. But we always like to have 2 teams in the event that somebody's not available on this day. We have somebody else that's available. That way it doesn't delay getting out to these nursing homes. So the list is, so our 2 Democrats are Kathy Bonney and Cindy Coppage, and our 2 Republicans are Robin Miller and Angie Glenn. These are poll workers. They have worked before. Some of them are familiar with the MAT team, and they are pretty much available any day of the week. And so that's pretty much what it came down to selecting. Because the nursing homes, it could be any day of the week, any time of the day, just whenever we can get out there. So we wanted to make sure we had people who were available, had really open schedules.
How do we pay them, an hour, a half day, or
They get paid by the day.
day?
They get paid by the day, they get reimbursed mileage. Yeah. Just because some of the nursing homes are, they got different mileages for them, so they do get paid mileage for that. For this though, I do need a motion to approve this, so if there's any other questions, I certainly can answer those.
Do you have any other, excuse me, any other possibilities for more people?
If we see that we have an issue with getting these scheduled, we could bring more people and appoint more people to the MAT team. But typically, when we reach out to them, we make sure they have a clear schedule, so there's not usually scheduling issues with them.
Okay, and their basic function when they go, what do they say, who do they meet with, and what do they do?
So what we do is we organize, our office organizes directly with the nursing homes to see which patients may need assistance with either registering a vote or requesting a ballot. So the nursing home sends us that information, we check our system to see what do they need. Do they need to be registered or do they just need an absentee request? So when the MAT team goes out there, they already know who they're going to visit and what they need to do. They know that this patient needs to register and needs assistance filling out an absentee form. This person's already registered, all they need is an absentee request form. And so they assist them with that process. Once the absentee by mails the mail ballots are prepared, we send those out to the nursing homes, to the patients. They let us know that they've received them, and then we can send the MAT team back out to assist any of the nursing home residents that may need assistance with marking the ballot. And so they'll go back out again and assist. They'll already know who they need to go to assist. And that's why, yeah. Well, we try to make it the same too, but if one's not available, we'll go to the other. But it's always a bipartisan team. And while they're there, they're always together. So it's not like this person's gonna help this one, this one's gonna do that one. They have to stay together the whole time they're at the nursing home and work as a team. And so they're basically just going to assist with those two things, registrations and absentee ballots.
And do those MAT teams have any forms or reports that they submit to us as to who they've contacted and what they've done?
So we have those, yes. So we have the reports. We know who they're going to see, what they're going to help them with, and then they take it with them when they go, and then they help those residents, and then they bring them back with their stuff. So we do keep records of all that. So we prepare it, we have it together, and then the MAT team does also receive training prior to going out there. And the state board, I think, has the MAT training online, but we also have it in the office. I can share that with you guys as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I make a motion that we approve the,
Okay,
MAT team.
got a motion?
Second.
Motion second, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then the next item, I just wanted to discuss really quickly is the resolution that I emailed everybody from the state board concerning, session law 23-140 that discusses early voting worker appointments. So this is new, but not necessarily new for us. So what this basically says, and I gave everybody a copy of the statutes, and I think it's page 12 at the bottom, where it talks about for each early voting site. Basically, the party now has to appoint judges and assistants to work early voting. We don't have the process for how that's going to work. The biggest thing is that they have to submit names just like they do for election day judges, and we have to set the date and give notice to the parties 21 days prior to the date that we set to have this meeting to appoint. The reason I say it's not necessarily new for us is because we always use judges and chief judges anyway for our early voting sites. Wake County, some of the bigger counties, they don't necessarily use their election workers for early voting. They use temp agencies, and their temp agencies help staff it. That's not what we're doing. Our temp agency is not staffing. Our temp agency is just doing payroll. We're still doing all the staffing. And so this legislation basically is trying to get all the counties in a uniform process of using appointed officials at the early voting site. So we've been doing this the whole time anyway, just they weren't appointed to that. We just used election workers and chief judges to run all of our sites. So it's not different really in who we're going to have staff there because that's what we've been doing. But we have not been given a process of are they appointing 20 chief judges and 50 election workers, or are they appointing this person's going to work at Anderson Creek, this person's going to, not Anderson Creek, Anger, this person's going to work at Western Harnett, this person's going to work at Irwin. So we don't have that outlined exactly how that process is going to work yet, but I just want this to be on your radar that this is something that I will definitely work with the parties closely to figure out how this process is going to work moving forward. It would be nice if they could just appoint the judges and assistants we already have, and then we know that we're working with the same group of people for election day as well as for early voting. But I don't have that in writing yet.
So are you saying that you don't know if, like, we appoint somebody to work at barbecue or, Western Harnett, they can't come and work in Lillington? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
that's
saying?
what I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, for example, they may say, okay, well, I want all of these people, I want all of you guys to be appointed chief judges, and I want these people to work early voting. And then we can schedule them how your schedule works and how our schedule works. Or if they're going to say, well, I want you appointed to work at Western Harnett, I want you appointed to work at Andrew, I want you. So I don't know how rigid that appointment process is going to be. So I'm hoping it's just, here's a group of people, and that way they can just appoint our chief judges and judges, and then they can appoint our assistants as assistants, and then we can just, kind of go with the process how we've always done in the past. But that is going to be another thing that we're going to have to do. The two dates that I was looking at, and I'm not looking for anything set in stone today, but we do already have our regular meeting on January 2nd, and then we also have our first absentee meeting on January 30th. So I was hoping that we can align the appointment process between those two dates. The second would be ideal because of the fact that we can get them appointed, and if they're not set up as an election worker, we can get them in our January training. But having to notify them 21 days in advance is going to have that notice be done in December, and that timeline is just not going to be long enough, especially since we don't know what the actual process is. So it may be something where we'll have to do that on January 30th after our training, but then maybe do a supplemental training if somebody new is thrown into that appointment list.
Can't you send something to the parties, like next week, and say, just to prepare?
I can. I can send it to them, tell them to be prepared, but unfortunately I wouldn't be able to say, this is the process, this is what you're going to have to submit. But we could just give them the heads up. And then, and really, if all else fails, we could always say, well, we're not prepared on the 2nd, we may need to move it.
What if the interpretation is to have two complete separate entities, primary, early voting, and use two complete separate groups? Think about that.
That could be something that could potentially happen.
If you read it,
Yeah, that's a potential, but I think I could speak for the parties. It's hard to find poll workers as it is. So I think they're going to want to try to, I think we could work together to get something more uniform that I think we can make it all happy. Because it's hard to get workers, and to have so many different appointment processes is going to be a headache for not just us, but for them as well. So, But yes, if we want to move forward with the January 2nd, I can go ahead and get that notice out and just say, hey, FYI, I'll let you know the process as soon as we know the process.
Timing wise, could we set an intermediate meeting somewhere in January, the middle of January? Give us a little bit more time to do this?
We could. I was just trying to work with some of the dates that you guys were already coming. I was trying to work with already scheduled dates, but the board can certainly add a date.
And when
Do that.
will you get the finalization on? I mean, that's gonna be the control.
Well, the only question is or where they're assigned to.
Mhm.
Is that right? Whether if they're.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's my issue. is I
But
don't
that's
know
the
what
only,
they're-
but that's the only thing, because this, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, I don't know why we couldn't do it on the 2nd and just point people,
I would,
just get the information.
yeah, I would be okay with that, and I think that me and the party chairs would work together to figure something out between there.
And then if it gives us, to me, it gives us a little more wiggle room. The earlier we do it, you know, if we have to push it back, then we've got a little more wiggle room.
Yeah, and my thing was I was wanting to try to do it before we had our training.
Right.
That way, if they did come up with somebody new, we could get them in the training.
So it looks like you would just have to send it out by December 12th, is that right?
Yeah.
We're meeting on, isn't that 1, 2, no, that's 4 weeks. So by December 19th? 1, 2, I can't even figure out 3 weeks. So January 2nd, 1 week would be December 26th, 2 weeks would be December 19th, so December 12th, it looks like.
Yeah. And like I said, we can certainly go with that, and I can add this to the agenda for our January meeting. I can get with the party chairs, and then if we need to change it, we can always change it. But I agree, I think earlier is better, I just wasn't gonna push it if you guys felt like it was too rushed.
If you look at the back of number 3, on page 2 on number 3, you still, if there are vacancies, the board still has the
Correct.
authority to
To
fill those
appoint.
vacancies.
Exactly, yes.
Well, that would be my motion, that we go ahead and set our date as January 2nd, when we will hold a duly noticed public meeting, is my
Okay.
motion, to appoint early voting officials.
Is there a second?
Yes, I'll say.
All right, motion second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and that is all the business that I have for us today. We do have, a need for closed session to discuss personnel. I need a motion.
So moved.
Was that a second, Betsy?
Yes, sure.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So 5:33. We are in closed session, and does anybody need? All right. Thank you. open. We do not have any other business to discuss today. Our next meeting will be the regular meeting on January 2nd at 5 o'clock. And I'll send you out all the reminders.
You like seafood?
Thank you. Now I need to adjourn.
There's a little seafood.
There's a
there.
second.
I don't know.
Allison
Well, it's fried
seconded.
seafood out, that's what I'm thinking.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Let's go
we
to
are
sports,
adjourned
huh?
at 6:10.